how to get your first rental property with zero money down. Guys, welcome to the Ginn channel, and I'm doing a two-part series on how you can acquire your rental property. That's right, with none of your money down. I'm going to break down the 5 steps in doing these types of deals. I'm going to teach you how to locate the properties, how to talk to these sellers, how to create the creative offer, how to get your tenant buyer, and the 3 profit centers that you can yield from doing these types of deals. So before we get into it, do me a favor. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to continue to receive videos just like this on the Ginn channel. So let's talk about it. Do you think it's possible to buy a rental property with none of your own money? I've actually done it multiple times over and over, and I'm going to teach you an easy strategy that you can implement today to start your journey on getting your first rental property with zero money down. First thing is, where do I go find these types of properties? And guys, I'm telling you, this is the easy part. So you're simply going to find any online platform. So the biggest one's going to be Zillow. There's Trulia, which is owned by Zillow. It goes on and on. You got Facebook marketplaces. There's probably another 10 behind this. You get the picture. Any type of online service that provides the opportunity to market and purchase a property, that's the place you want to be. And we are specifically looking for 2 types of sellers. And I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you. But guys, the location's the easy part. You already kind of know. I've already pointed you the way, and just go to those sites, Zillow all the way down. So let's talk about locating. The criteria for this, we're looking for single family houses. It's really important. And you've got to make sure the properties are for sale or for rent. Okay? For sale or for rent. If they are for sale or for rent online, you have an opportunity to buy these properties with zero money down. There are some criteria that you have to have in your search. So first thing is, figure out your target city where you want to get it, and make sure it's a single family rental, because that's going to be the most predominant houses that are available. And ideally target them in the price range that you are ideally comfortable with being in. Remember, you're not living in the property. It's going to be a rental property. So don't get caught up in the particulars. It's not for you. It's for your portfolio. I'm going to share with you the 2 criteria you must have to find a zero money down deal on these. So number 1, you want to look at the days on market. It's also called the DOM. They're always in all these online platforms, and that simply represents how many days the property's been on market. Obviously, the longer it's been on the market, the better your odds of getting a deal. So Rick, how long should it be on market? I like to look at the stuff at least 30 days old, and every 30 days you add to it, the motivation should go higher for the seller. Think about it. They're not getting offers on the properties. They might be slightly overpriced. It's missing something, and traditional buyers are struggling with it, and the sellers are not changing their mind. These people are open and ripe to doing a deal. The second criteria is you're only going to focus on buy owner properties. It is absolutely critical. You cannot deal with an agent in it. It's just not going to work. They will never go for this deal. So make sure you click the box for buy owner. If it has an agent involved, filter those out. We're looking for days on market, ideally 30 days or more, and you're looking for buy owner. I'm going to throw in one extra tip. Any property that has a price reduction even makes the motivation higher. So use these 2 tips plus my bonus one as your criteria. And this is truly the way how you connect with finding sellers that will sell it to you for zero down. Without these filters, you're going to waste a ton of time. Make sure you absolutely use them. So now we located. So the next part is we have to talk to the sellers. So remember, I told you there's 2 types of properties we're looking for sale and rentals. And they're 2 different conversations. So the conversations go simply like this. So when a property's for sale, you simply have to usually make an inquiry online. So click that button. Often the seller's phone number is already in there after you make the inquiry. Feel free to reach out with a phone number. But sometimes doing the online inquiry, you just click a button that says, "Are you interested?" And then they give you the phone number, and then you can call them, or they'll even call you back. Follow the protocol, because you want to look like a regular buyer when you do that. When you contact them, or say they even contact you, you're simply going to strike up a conversation, ask some things about the house, look at the pictures. Number 1, you want to ask them if there's any type of repairs on the property that are needed, because we want properties with little to no repairs, because that's going to save us money, because we don't have to do the repairs. We want everything ready to go. And I'm going to simply ask them, are you making payments on your house? Notice how I avoid saying the words like, do you have mortgage payments? Are you behind on mortgage payments? Anything like that? I want to avoid words that trigger sellers and freak them out. So when you use big words like that, you can really get them to put up their defenses, and your job is to bring down their defense. Are you currently making payments on the house? Yes or no? I ask them how much. Sometimes they don't want to answer it. That's okay. It's important to know what they're paying if they're making payments on the house so you can structure a deal correctly. Remember, we're doing owner financing. Number two is after that, ask them, are you interested in receiving on-time monthly payments? And just see what they say. This is the part where you're going to find out if they're going to move forward with you or they're going to hang up on you. A lot of times when there's no other buyers for that property, you are the only fix for it. And if they don't have any other action on the property, you could solve their problem. Why not take payments on it with a small down payment and make it work? The conversation is a little bit different when you do this as far as starting out. Hey, do you do creative financing? They have no idea what that means, so don't use that terms. The second one is going to be the houses for rent. Now, when the house is for rent, you want to target from a position of a long-term rental. When I ask about the property, we just a couple small talk questions. I instantly go into the questions, and I go, and here's the two questions I ask. Are you interested in a long-term agreement? And most people go, well, what are you talking about? If I could make on-time payments for a long-term agreement with you, is that something you're interested in the house with? And shut up. Guys, this is how you get people. What do renters want? They want cash flow. And then I'll simply ask them at the end of our rental agreement, would you be open to me purchasing the property? That's it. Both of these strategies set you up for a win-win to buy your first rental property with zero money down. Okay, so we've located the properties. Now we've talked to the seller. So number three, this is the part where we want to go ahead and structure a very simple offer. So people often ask me, Rick, how do you do the math on this? If you stick with me to my second part series after this, I will walk you through an actual deal and the math problem. But let me give you the formula for success on this. Most sellers are going to want a down payment. Very few go without it, so it makes sense. How much do I do for a down payment? You want to target between 3 and 5%, 5% being your max, and you want a house that's ready to go. You do not want to get a house and get into repairs because it's going to be too much. I know what you're saying. Well, wait a minute, Rick. I thought I was buying the house with no money. You are. Remember, you're not going to be making the down payment. Your end buyer, your tenant buyer is going to be making that payment. So how do you come up with the 3 to 5%? Because keep in mind, you have to structure it low enough where your end buyer pays for it and you actually make a profit on it for it. So if you exceed 5%, it's going to be hard to take home a profit when you first buy the property. I want you to buy these properties and make money from day one. And guys, the beauty of these types of deals is they happen fast. So 3 to 5% on the down payment. Then I want you to go research the rent on this property. If you don't know how to do it, I'll make it real simple. Go to rentalmeter.com and just put in the address and it'll give you the average rents and try to figure out the average sum of the rents. You can look at classifieds in there or whatever. And then whatever the rent is, you do not want to exceed 60% as a payment to the seller. I'm going to explain in more detail why. Anything under 6% is gold. If the rental rate was $1,000, because I'm not a mathematician here, you wouldn't want to pay more than $600 a month. You can double that number at 2,000 times 6. I believe it's $1,200. And I'll explain to it. It's really important you understand that. The last part is going to be the terms with the seller. Terms, in this part, we're going to describe the specific length of your contract. So the longer, the better. Okay. In a perfect world, you get 10 years from everyone, but I'm here to tell you, you want to get a minimum of 72 months, which is 6 years. You can occasionally do 5 years, but I'm just telling you, want that extra year because I'm going to explain it in part 2 why the math works out so much better on these deals. 3 to 5% down. Remember, it's not your money. Don't worry about it. 60% of the going rental rate max. And then your term, ideally, you would like 72 months or higher. 72 months equates to 6 years, 12 months in a year. That's your minimum. And what you're going to put down for an earnest money deposit, typically, I used to do $10, but with inflation, let's bump it up to $100. And keep in mind, yes, you have to put out $100, but it's not going to be your money because I'm going to teach you how to get it back at the very end of the transaction. It's really simple. And guys, you're into this for much more than $100 for the profit center. Your first month, you'll make enough profit to pay that 10 times over. So now we have structured the offer. So the next thing you got to do is, and we'll put that all in a very simple contract. I don't want to complicate it in this video. I'm explaining the theory to you, okay? So the next part in step 4 is you're going to find your buyer, your end buyer, your tenant buyer, call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you call them. You need someone to fulfill your contract for you. So what you're going to do is you are going to run a simple ad. You can use a Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, whatever you want. And you now have a property. You have permission now that you are going to rent out. And we're going to disclose this to the seller anyways. You're on the hook for on-time payments, the down payment, and the monthly rental. So now we need to get an end buyer just to pay us more than what we're paying. Guys, don't complicate this. So remember, you're putting down 3 to 5%. You are going to run an ad, and it's simply going to say they have to have these 2 lines in them. Are you ready? No bank qualifying, meaning they can get a loan very easily. They don't have to go through the traditional bank loan. You guys know how complicated bank loans are, and a low down payment. If these people were to buy a property traditionally, it would take forever. The banks have tons of expenses. You're willing to cut through all that stuff. So you can have them the property in as little as like 3 to 7 days from the time they first look at it. No bank qualifying, easy, low down payment. So remember, you put down a 3 to 5%. All you have to do is pretty much double your number on this. We're going to ask for 10%. The 5% difference, which I'll show you in part 2, is going to be your take-home fee. It's almost like a wholesaler gets an assignment fee, but we're going to keep paying you every month for the next whatever months that your tenant buyers are in there. We put down 3 to 5%. We asked for 10. We gave 60% of the rental. So if I had $1,000 a month rental on it, you would be pocketing approximately $400 a month. Pretty impressive. Remember that $400 is going to run for the next at least 60 to 72 months. You might as go as long as 10 years. It doesn't matter. That's what you've got to understand. So I'm simplifying it. You're making money from day one. You're making money every month. And eventually you are going to make money when you sell it. Guys, and you're thinking like, well, are there buyers for these properties? Guys, more people get rejected for loans than they get accepted. You'll have standing room only for these properties. And the really cool part about all these deals is you're paying market price. You're not beating them up like a wholesaler. And for that reason, that's why it's a little bit easier. You just got to find a seller willing to work with you. And you need to find a seller that has suffered a little bit on the market with price reductions, days on market, which means it's sat 30 days plus. Make sure that they're the owner of the property. So in step 5, you have a 3 profit center. And remember, I'm explaining the theory here. So number 1, you're going to collect 5%. So say you were selling the house for $200,000. You basically are going to collect the difference on it. So do the math on that. So if you put down 5% of that, you're going to ask for 10%. Don't worry. In example 2, I'm going to go through the math. I just winging math. I rather show it to you than tell it to you. The second part is the max you're going to do for the rental rate is 60% to the seller. Once you do the 60%, you are going to be pocketing the 40% and you're going to let that ride. That should give you a cash flow of close to $500 a month. Guys, 72 months. Do you understand the value in creative financing? It pays you as long as until that tenant buyer cashes you out or till your deal ends. Last but not least, you're going to profit the day the tenant buyer cashes you out. And then what do you mean by that? You are just going to charge a 10% premium above the price you committed to the original seller. Okay? So that makes you another 10% on the back end. Guys, do the math on this. Do me a favor. I'm going to roll into part 2 and I'm going to walk you through the math, the 3 profit centers, and I'm going to show you visually how this math is going to work. I just want to open you up to alternative ways to do your real estate investing. A lot of you guys do wholesaling and that's great. This is another strategy you can add to your tool belt. Do me a favor, go ahead and click the button below and I will link you to the series part 2 of how to do the math to buy your first rental property with 0 money down.